The day my stepson Daniel tried to have me declared legally insane was the day I learned what it truly meant to be betrayed by blood, even if it wasn't my own. It wasn't a sudden explosion. It began with a whisper in a lawyer's office, a casual conversation about my future security that quickly became an outright attempt to steal it. My world didn't just shatter, it crumpled slowly, like paper in a fist. Hello, I'm Amelia, and you're listening to my story. If you're new here, please tell me in the comments where in the world you're tuning in from. It means the world to me to share this confession with you. 3 days ago, Daniel, a successful cardiologist at one of the city's most respected hospitals, signed the papers. They were the first step in a petition to the court, arguing that my recent, quote, erratic behavior made me unfit to control my assets, that were my late husband's and were meant to secure my future. The goal was simple: to get legal guardianship over my entire estate worth close to $7 million. My husband, Edward, had passed away just 10 months before, leaving everything to me. His final wishes were simple and clear, written in a will he updated just weeks before his accident. Daniel, Edward's only son, received a generous trust fund, an amount that would make most people retire comfortably. But comfortable wasn't enough for Daniel. He needed complete control. He needed it all. I should have seen the warning signs. The first clue came immediately after the funeral. Edward's death was sudden, a heart attack in his sleep. I was paralyzed by grief. It was in that fog that Daniel suggested I hire his family friend to manage my investments. I remember him saying, "Mom, you're fragile right now. Let us take care of the stressful decisions." I nodded, tearfully grateful for the support. But the family friend turned out to be less a broker and more a warden. Every transaction I wanted to make, every donation to charity I planned, was met with resistance. "Are you sure that's a wise decision, Amelia?" He would drone. "Edward would have wanted you to be more prudent." This subtle pressure escalated. I began to feel watched, judged. It was the slow, creeping tension of being trapped in your own home. Daniel would call, not to ask how I was, but to ask if I'd remembered to take my vitamins, if I was eating well, if I was sleeping through the night. "I'm fine, Daniel," I'd tell him, my voice tight. "Just lonely."
"Of course you are," he'd reply, his tone dripping with patronizing sympathy. "It's the grief talking. We just need to make sure the grief doesn't cloud your judgment." Then came the physical evidence. I found a small, almost invisible surveillance camera hidden inside a clock radio in my living room. I didn't panic. I just froze. I stared at the tiny lens, the cold realization washing over me. He wasn't trying to protect me. He was gathering evidence. This was no longer a disagreement over money. This was an invasion, a clinical, calculated assassination of my character and my sanity. I called the lawyer he had been working with, not his lawyer but mine, the one who handled Edward's will. "They're painting you as unstable, Amelia," she confirmed, her voice low. "Daniel is using your grief, saying you're giving away jewelry, talking about seeing Edward and making impulsive financial decisions. They've asked for an independent psychiatric evaluation." My blood ran cold. The thought of being subjected to that, of having a white coat decide my fitness to exist freely, terrified me more than anything else. I am 72 years old. I have 2 PhDs, and I ran Edward's medical practice for 20 years. I wasn't just losing money, I was losing my dignity. I knew I couldn't fight him in court on his terms. He had the advantage of his medical degree, the prestige of his profession, and a team of expensive lawyers. He could paint the picture of the worried, successful son trying to protect his vulnerable stepmother. I had one advantage. I understood Daniel's arrogance. Daniel's weakness was his need for control and his unwavering belief that he was the smartest person in any room. He wouldn't be satisfied until he gloated. He needed to rub my face in his victory before it was even finalized. So, I set a trap. I called him and played the part of the frail, broken, old woman. "Daniel," I whispered, making my voice shake, "I need to talk to you. I'm scared. I think I finally understand. You were right about the money." He immediately agreed to come over. I placed a high-quality digital voice recorder, a tiny, specialized device, inside a porcelain tissue box on the coffee table. I connected the recorder to my computer via a discrete Bluetooth connection, allowing me to start and stop the recording without touching the box. It was crude, but effective. I poured us tea, served on Edward's favorite old silver tray. The setting was domestic, almost ceremonial. The calmness was a calculated mask. Daniel arrived looking sharp in his tailored suit, smelling of expensive cologne. He sat across from me, and the look in his eyes wasn't pity, it was triumph. "Amelia," he said, taking a sip of tea, "it's good that you finally see reason. We just want what's best for you." "I know," I said, looking down at my hands. "But why did you have to go to the lawyers? Why did you have to say those things? That I was seeing Edward's ghost? That I was giving away the jewelry?" He chuckled, a small dismissive sound that drove a spike of pure rage into my heart. "Amelia, you have to understand the law. We needed a compelling narrative. The judge needs to see a pattern of instability. It's for the petition, it's just procedure. The jewelry story, the erratic mood swings, it's just paperwork." I kept my voice soft. "But Daniel, you're a doctor. A man of integrity. You're lying to the court. You're lying to the world to steal my home and my future." He leaned forward, dropping the facade of gentle concern. His voice became cold, professional. This was the moment. The confession. "I'm not lying, Amelia. I'm making a professional observation that aligns with my family's legal needs. Look, Edward built this empire for his blood, not for some—" He paused, searching for the right cruel word. "Some caregiver who showed up in his twilight years. The money is ours. I'm the only one qualified to manage it. You're old, you're weak, and frankly, you're irrelevant. My signature carries weight. A psychiatrist's opinion can be guided. It's done. Just sign the papers and make this easy. You'll be taken care of, but the control is mine." That was it. The key admission.
Not just that he was trying to take the money, but that he was using his medical authority to fabricate a diagnosis and commit fraud against the court system. I felt a quiet, deadly calm settle over me. I stood up and walked over to the desk, turning off the recording. "Get out of my house, Daniel," I said. My voice was steady, utterly devoid of fear. He stood up, clearly rattled by the change in my demeanor. "Amelia, don't be foolish. Don't make me use the court order for your mandatory psychological hold." "You already made your case," I replied, gesturing toward the tissue box. And I recorded every syllable of it. The color drained from his face. He lunged for the box, but I was faster. I hit the emergency panic button on my phone, summoning my personal security, the ones Daniel had told me I didn't need. They were at the door in seconds.
"You're making a mistake," Daniel yelled, frantic now, the calm cardiologist dissolving into a screaming child. "That's illegal. That's inadmissible in court." "It might be inadmissible in a civil court fighting over assets," I told him, stepping back toward the doorway. "But I'm not sending it to your lawyer, Daniel. I'm sending it to your board of medical directors." And that's exactly what I did. I didn't send the full conversation, which was over 45 minutes long, to the hospital board. I didn't need to. I edited the audio down to the most damning 1 minute and 5 seconds. The part where he admitted he was fabricating evidence of my instability, using his position as a doctor to guide a diagnosis, and stating that my money belonged to him because I was irrelevant. I also didn't go directly to the hospital. I sent the recording to a journalist at the city's largest paper, one who specialized in medical malpractice and financial ethics. I provided them with a copy of Edward's will and a copy of Daniel's initial petition to the court. It landed like a bomb. The newspaper ran the story less than 48 hours later. The headline was stark, huge, and unforgiving. "Prominent cardiologist, a CCSS accused of a fraud, lies to court to steal inheritance." The public reaction was instantaneous. Daniel was a local star, often on the news, talking about heart health. The betrayal was amplified by his reputation. Patients called into his office, demanding to know if their own diagnoses had been similarly fabricated. The hospital, which relied on public trust, went into full damage control. The court petition was immediately dismissed.
My lawyer received a call from Daniel's attorney within hours, pleading with us to drop everything and accept a settlement, a bribe to make the problem disappear. I refused. This was never about the money for me. It was about the moral theft, the attempt to strip me of my very identity. The justice came when I received a personal call from the chairman of the hospital's board of directors. His voice was grim, strained. Mrs. Thorne, he said, we deeply regret this situation. We have placed Dr. Miller on immediate administrative leave, pending a full ethics review. He then paused, his next words heavy with implication. The board is meeting tonight at 7 o'clock to discuss his future medical credentials. We've heard the recording. I don't think I need to tell you how seriously we take a physician using his authority to manipulate a patient or a legal process. Daniel had used his status as a physician to declare me mentally unfit. He had used his medical degree as a weapon against my freedom. Now that same degree, that same authority, was what was going to ruin him entirely. He thought he could use his stethoscope to steal my security. Now, that stethoscope is silenced, perhaps forever. I did not seek revenge. I simply supplied the truth. And the truth, when aimed at a moral hypocrite, always finds its mark. For the first time since Edward passed, I slept soundly, knowing that the ashes of my marriage had not been left unguarded. Some people break families. Others rebuild them from the ashes. If you enjoyed hearing my story and want to hear more confessions of betrayal, revenge and justice, please take a second to hit that subscribe button.